What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. I do have my long-awaited custom tactics, instructions, and formation video today. I say long-awaited because I promised it was going to come out about a week or two ago, so apologies for that one. I just got caught up with the festive period. I just wanted to take a break off of FIFA, ultimately. But yeah, in this video, I'm going to showcase the 3 formations I use. One of them is obviously the main one. But yeah, the other 2 formations I use sporadically based on how my opponent plays and how the game is faring for me. If I notice I'm not getting a lot of success with my main formation, I'll switch to the 2 formations you'll see soon anyway. But yeah, I'm not going to hang about. Let's get straight into it. So the first formation I'm going to talk about today is the 4-4-2 second variation. Now, it's quite popular this year and last year, in fact. The 4-4-2 in general is a really balanced formation. And a lot of people use the basic variation with the one with 2 centre mids rather than 2 CDMs, which is successful mainly for a lot of pro players as well. And a lot of people in the scene do use that. But for me personally, I like the 2 CDMs to shield the back 4. I noticed that with the 4-4-2 basic variation, that my centre mids often drift forward a lot more despite this tactics me telling them to stay back. And yeah, some people might like that because it helps with the interplay between and connecting the play from midfield to attack. And yeah, for me, I'd rather the CDMs. It works better for my play style. And the defensive style I used is balanced. I used the width as 4 and the depth as 4 as well. And for the offensive style is also balanced. The width at 4, players in the box 4. Corners and free kicks is also 2 out of 5. Now, a lot of people on stream also ask me why I use low corners. Mainly just because I don't cross the ball. Headers aren't really that effective in FIFA 20. It's not like FIFA 19 where CR7 front post was the main guy, you know what I mean? But now, headers aren't really that great, as I mentioned. So I use my corners down at 2. It's not that low. 3 is okay as well, but I used to have it as 4, and I noticed that I was really susceptible to counter-attack. So having it at 2, I get the balance of having enough people, when I play it short, to pass and interlink play in the box or the edge of the box. And I have also a few defenders back to try and stop the counter-attack if my opponent does win the ball higher up the field. So for my instructions, my strikers, in fact, I don't touch them whatsoever. I leave them, their support runs on balance, attacking runs on mixed attack, defensive support on basic defensive support, and interceptions, you'll notice is a common theme. I literally never ever touch them. On previous FIFAs, I used to make my centre mids aggressive interceptions, but their stamina drain was ridiculously high, so I leave it as normal interceptions. And for the wide midfielders, I use comeback on defense, get in behind. I feel like this is really essential for this formation. You need your wide players to have blistering pace. And you'll see for the weekend league team I did use, it has Adama Traore and Mbappe, both of them 97 and 98 pace. So they're really effective in that wide positions. And I used to use get in the box for them just for, there are many situations you get down the wing and your wide play is free if you have that setting, but sometimes they don't really contribute defensively, which is ideal for me in the 4-4-2 second variation. Now my centre defensive midfielders, I use them on cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, and cover centre. Again, it depends really, because I've got Ruud Gullit, which a lot of people, I know 99% of people might not be able to afford him. You can have him on balance just because he's a perfect box-to-box midfielder. He's good at going forward. He's amazing physically, 6'3" with high physical stats. Amazing shooting, passing, dribbling, pace, everything. He's a perfect player. So you could arguably have him on balanced, but yeah, for a lot of people, obviously, who can't afford Gullit, there's also cheaper options who are good players in this position. The likes of Paul Pogba, I believe, is around 200,000 coins, around about there on both consoles. And you also have Scream Firmino, who's also, in my opinion, the best box-to-box non-icon midfielder. This is prior to Team of the Year, by the way. So prior to Team of the Year, De Jong, De Bruyne, and Kante. Firmino, for me, is the top tier for that position. Now, my fullbacks, I leave them on stay back while attacking. I never ever touch them. And my centre-backs, again, stay back while attacking. And the goalkeeper is also left unbalanced. Now, let's get into the second formation. The second formation I'm going to talk about is, as I said, my second favourite formation. It's the 4-2-3-1. Now, this is arguably the most popular formation probably for the last 2 or 3 FIFAs, and you can see why. It's really balanced going forward. It's balanced on the defense as well. But for me personally, I really like having 2 players or 2 strikers, sorry, that I can interlink the play with, and yeah, just do a lot of 1-2 passes between them. And I can't do that in a 4-2-3-1 because a lot of the attacking play comes from the left attacking midfielders, the right attacking midfielder. And yeah, it works well for some people, as I mentioned. So if it does work well for you, credit to you. But for me, as I mentioned, 2 strikers is my go-to. But for my defensive style, again, I use balance. I very rarely use drop back. That's a key theme you'll notice. It's just because there was a patch maybe 1 or 2 months ago where they adjusted the pressure. So your players literally to just sit back. Obviously, it goes without saying drop back. But I would want my players to have some sort of awareness of when a player is about to make a run in behind. But with drop back, they literally just leave them if there's any sort of space. So I just use balance. It's the best of both worlds. And the width is 5, as I mentioned. The depth is also 5. Offensive style, I leave it as balanced. The width is 5, and I up the players in the box to 8. Now, I like, as I mentioned, because I struggle without the second striker, I use my centre attacking midfielder as it's like a centre forward. So the perfect person in this position, I'd say, is someone like Neymar or Messi or someone like that. They can interlink the play. They're great at passing, great at dribbling. They're relatively quick. And yeah, for me, they act like a second striker when my striker might be getting marginalised by my opposition. So I use that. And for corners, again, as I mentioned, with free kicks as well, it's down at 2. Free kicks I didn't really go over, but I don't know. I never cross the ball in from a free kick. If it's an indirect free kick, I'll just lay it short and try and work my way into the box. So having it even at 1 is a viable option for me personally. My instructions for this formation, as I mentioned, my cams are the pretty much the pivotal part of this formation. So striker, balanced again on everything. Centre attacking midfielder. Now, I use him on stay on the edge of the box and free roam. I also use free roam on my right attacking midfielder. I use it on one of them. The one where previously, obviously, Adama Traore wasn't here in this position before. I was using Messi here. And Messi doesn't have the pace to get in behind like Adama Traore, obviously. But when I have him as free roam, he kind of acts like a second attacking midfielder. So the formation kind of works like a left attacking midfielder, a centre attacking midfielder, but then there's it's like a, how can I describe it? He's in the gap between a centre attacking midfielder and a right attacking midfielder, if you understand. And it's perfect for him because he's not that quick, but he's in the perfect position to maybe get a finesse shot off or just interlink the play with the cam, create a triangle with my striker, Eusebio. And yeah, it works perfectly for me. Also, I get in the box for crosses. As I mentioned, you might see that your wide attacking midfielder is free at the back post. So having him there, I can cross the ball in a driven cross. And if it lands at his feet, 9 times out of 10, I back them to finish it. So that works for me anyway. CDMs, again, stay back while attacking, cut passing lanes, cover, center. And my fullbacks, I leave them as stay back while attacking again. Now let's get into my favorite formation of FIFA 20. Now my favorite formation so far on FIFA 20, I say with this current patch anyway, is the 4-2-2-2. Now it's kind of the best of both worlds between the 4-4-2 second variation and the 4-2-3-1. Obviously the wide attacking midfielders, they're a lot more tucked in than the right mid and left mid, for me anyway. And yeah, these are the tactics I use. I use balance, defensive style, width, and depth 4, which is another common theme. But the difference here with the offensive style is I use long ball. Now, a lot of people ask me on stream specifically why I use this. I'm going to try and put it in the simplest terms. So let's say in a scenario you're with your right back, the ball's with your right back from a goal kick. Sometimes you notice that no matter what, my players do not make the right runs. They often drift around waiting for me to trigger the L1 for them to run in behind. But with long ball, as soon as I pass it to my right back, they're on their way already. It can be seen as a negative because you lose that passing short. So if your opponent is squeezing you up the pitch, it can cause you a lot of pressure and might force you to go long anyway with your goalkeeper. But for me, when my opponent isn't pressuring me in that position, it works perfectly for me. So I like using long ball because the runs they make without me having to trigger it manually is a lot better, if you understand what I mean. And yeah, width, plays in the box, corners, free kicks, all exactly the same. I'll go over something which is actually very important with this formation, which is personnel. I'll go over that just a bit after this, but my instructions are strikers, again, balance. I never touch them. And the reason for this is that the runs that they make when I set them as getting behind, it's like my attacker, obviously is getting behind, but they make nonsensical runs when they're in the box as well. So for example, when I cut in from the byline with Adama Traore, for example, I'm looking up for a pass inside, but instead of Eusebio dropping back to receive the pass across goal, he runs towards the goal line. It doesn't make sense. It's just a mechanic that's kind of wrong in this FIFA. So this is the first FIFA where I literally don't touch my attacking players. I try and just hope for the chance that my attacker will be in the right position without me having to change anything. And it's been working so far, so there's no complaints from me on that front. So a wide attacking midfielders come back on defense and get into the box for crosses. I want to see all my players contribute defensively because I'm not using drop back, so I can be susceptible to counter-attacks sometimes if a lot of people do get forward. And the left attacking midfielder, exactly the same. Now, the CDMs, cut passing lane, stay back while attacking, cover center. I used to have Ruud Gullit on balanced, but I noticed that he was kind of drifting into the cam role a lot more than a CDM or a centre mid. And it was leaving Sissoko. Well, it wasn't Sissoko at the time. I can't remember who I had. I think Battaglia, SBC. He was left on his lonesome, and he's a great card, but he can't do the defensive work by himself. And having someone like Gullit defending for me is perfectly fine. I don't expect him to contribute goals-wise or goal contributions, but he does his job in the defensive front. As I mentioned, 6'3" from him, massive physical stats. And the same with Sissoko, 6'2". I think it's 90 odd physical. So they're both really, really physical, which is a key feature for my CDMs. Now, fullbacks, again, stay back while attacking. Centre mids, I don't touch again. So, actually, sorry, I do change something with this one. For my my goalkeeper, I was testing out come for crosses. I'm not sure if it does anything. I'll be honest, it's been the exact same. So I've only tested it for 1 weekend league. So I don't know. Maybe I just need to get used to it and notice the tendencies that have changed from keeping him on balance. But I'm going to keep it this way anyway. Excuse me, and see how it does fare for me over the next coming weeks. And if there is anything that changes with my custom tactics, I will update that. And yeah, I'm going to be uploading my gameplay from this weekend, so you'll be able to see my custom tactics in action, and you'll see if we do get top 100. But this is the team I was using. Now, personnel, as I mentioned, is a very, very key feature. Now, how can I put this? So, with your wide attacking midfielders in the 4-2-2, it's wise for them to have a lot of pace. You don't want to get them down the wing. A key example you'll see in tomorrow's video, I was using Di Maria instead of Adama Traore in order to save coins. I didn't want to invest a lot of coins into players. I just wanted to stay as liquid as possible. But yeah, Adama Traore was an option I bought in just because of his pace. I don't expect my wide attacking midfielder to be the person that builds up the play for me or is literally a key part, but I want them to be someone where if I have the ball with Sissoko and I have an option to either pass it to Eusebio up front and Neymar or pass it to my wide player, I'll trigger the run, or the run is automatically made, from Traore, and my opposition's in his mind, I need to mark the run because his pace is that important behind, his pace is that, I guess, it can damage him basically if he gets him behind. So he's going to be mindful of that run and start watching it. Gives me a lot of space on the inside for my strikers, and that's when I can probably create the most damage when I'm in and around my opponent's penalty area. So personnel is very, very important in that sense. And strikers, it varies. You can use whoever you want. I like my strikers to be able to move on either foot, can shoot on either foot. High agility and high balance. So the perfect combination with Eusebio and Neymar. Hullet and Sissoko I've already gone over. And not CDMs, right back and left back. Ideally, you'd want them to be great passers of the ball. Mendy, not great in my opinion. He's the 80 passing on this card. It's not the best passing, but he does all right. Sometimes he might pass the ball out of play, but this guy, don't know how to pronounce his name. It's weird. His pass, I feel like this guy is a broken card. His passing isn't even that great compared to Mendy's, but he seems to be a lot more accurate with his passes. Maybe it's just, I have no explanation for it. Ferdinand as well, I use him over Van Dijk before people ask, because I just feel like when I defend that high, I need pace on the defense, and Van Dijk for me is just a little bit too sluggish, so Ferdinand works ideally for me. So yeah, that's my custom tactics, instructions, and formations video. Thank you guys for watching, and if it does help you, leave a comment down below, and also leave a thumbs up on the video, which would be much appreciated. And I also mentioned that I'm going to be uploading my highlights from this weekend league that's just passed. 15 games in one part and another 15 games. It'll be uploaded sometime this week before rewards, so yeah, tune in for that and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're aware when that video is uploaded. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon.